Welcome, everyone. You're listening to the voice of the Bobcats, your home for... Welcome, everyone, and don't touch that dial because you are locked into the only station you need for Tennessee high school football action. It's a Friday night in Robertson County, and you know what that means. It's week 4 of high school football in Tennessee, coming to you tonight from high above Bobcat Field on the corner of Kniff Drive and Parker Avenue, located on the campus of Greenbrier High School in Greenbrier, Tennessee, the highest point between Louisville, Kentucky and Nashville, Tennessee, and we are ready to bring you all the action. Thank you for joining us here tonight. I am your host, Jim Sorrells, alongside my co-host, Kevin Criswell, and we are the voice of the Bobcats, bringing you all that is Greenbrier High School sports and information. Be sure to follow along with us all year long and join the conversation on Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anything that uses the handle @VoiceOfCatsTN and the hashtag Greenbrier Football. Tonight's broadcast is Briar built and brought to you in part by the Greenbrier Athletic Club, who for over 50 years has supported the Greenbrier Football Bobcats. And of course, you, our fans, family, and friends, as none of this is possible without your support. The victory flag is flying for the first time this season as the Bobcats contained the Cobras 21-0 last Friday night on a rain-soaked homecoming. First win, check. First region win, check. And a score from the first play of scrimmage, that's what really got the Cats moving. Nolan Carson, this week's Farm Bureau Greenbrier Office Player of the Week, fired off a couple of touchdown passes on the night, both of them falling into the hands of Travarius Flood. Flood, a senior who was returning to action after missing the prior week, and return he did, racking up 81 reception yards on 4 catches with the 2 touchdowns. Nolan Carson later punched one in on a scramble for the final score of the night. Nolan completing 88 of 12 passes for 141 yards. Other Cats contributed to the fold. Nate Castleman nabbed 1 ball for 8 yards. Luke Meyer came up big across the middle with a couple of grabs for 46 yards. And another returner this week, Dalton Wilbur, had 1 catch for 6 yards. 254 yards of total offense on the night for the Bobcats, with Carson carrying most of the load with 63 on the ground. Carson Wood returned to the lineup to add 14 yards along with Dalton Wilbur's 14 himself. Carter DeMarcus with a great effort as well, tearing up the turf with 21 yards. Let us not forget the busted extra point that led to Nate Castleman pulling his best Tony Romo impression, saving the play and converting to Luke Meyer. Defensively, Gang Green held the Cobras to just 35 total yards of offense, including a negative 3 yards passing. Great efforts all around that included some bright spots again for a handful of underclassmen. With all the hoopla of homecoming behind us, we turn our attention tonight to our next foe in Region 5-4A, Marshall County. Marshall County is known for their fainting goats and walking horses. They were named after one of America's founding fathers, John Marshall, and the county features a pass-through of the historic Duck River and parts of the Natchez Trace running through it, where the frontier explorer Meriwether Lewis once blazed a trail. However, the only expedition they're concerned about tonight is finding their path back to the TSSAA playoffs, as last year they were eliminated in the second round against the same Lexington team that put out the Bobcats. Finishing at 10-2, 7-1 in the region, with their other lone loss coming to Pearl Cone. Look at this season. The 2-1 Tigers have already earmarked that return bout with Pearl, but the loss of a whopping 18 seniors has this Tiger team looking to replace a lot of firepower. Where they are comfortable, though, is their second-year quarterback, Silas Teat. Silas, a transfer from Oakland 2 years ago, led the Tiger team last season with 2,085 yards through the air and 35 touchdown passes to just 6 interceptions. A proven leader on the team, he will have to rely on some relatively unproven talent spread across the field. He's a pocket guy, a gunslinger that has racked up 400 yards already this season with 5 touchdowns through the air, while averaging just over 133 yards passing per game. His favorite target, a junior that he built great rapport with in 2022, Aja Jones, a Class 4A preseason second-teamer. He's expected to reel in most of the balls he tosses up. So far in 2023, he has accounted for 12 receptions and 3 scores. Teat, not much of a run threat, he will be handing the ball off to Camrick Perriman on the ground. The Marshall Workhorse has 125 yards on 23 carries and a win over Station Camp last Friday night for a grand total of 324 on the year. The Tigers, 2-1 as they head into the night with that one loss, an upset to Shelbyville on a Thursday night a couple weeks ago. Against Marshall County all-time, we're knotted up 6-6 with the last win coming in 2006, a 35-6 victory for Kevin's senior class. Some other fun stuff, the world headquarters of the Tennessee Walking Horse Breeders and Exhibits Association has been based in Lewisburg, the county seat, since 1939. The Tennessee Walking Horse is a gaited breed and considered to have been developed in Middle Tennessee, and the area is still a center of breeding and exhibitions for this horse. Don't forget about Dante Hightower, born and raised there in Marshall County. He played professional football for the New England Patriots. He exploded onto the scene when we were in high school, and we'll always remember that talent that he had on the football field. Grit noted, we shut him down. Marshall County also boasts one of the biggest and most active swap shops in the state every Saturday morning on 94.3 FM, along with their extensive coverage of Marshall County athletics. Special shout out to my dad's cousin Leon, who used to do this coverage for him. We look forward to those Saturday morning conversations, especially after a big Bobcat win. Folks, we got plenty of Bobcat football coming at you here in just a moment. We've got pregame on a loop here at Bobcat Field. Stick with us. We got kickoff coming up at 7 p.m. Central. Don't go too far.
Welcome, everyone. You're listening to the voice of the Bobcats, your home for everything that is Greenbrier sports and information. We have grown over the last few years, so here's what we have going on. Be sure to like and follow us on X or Twitter or whatever they're calling it this week. Also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and anywhere else you see the handle @VoiceOfCatsTN. We are committed to providing you the best resource for all information you might want to know about your trip to the Briar. We present to you live broadcasts of all Greenbrier High School football games on your fall Friday nights, as well as select dates for Greenbrier basketball and coverage of other Bobcat and Lady Cat athletics. Be sure to tune in to VOTClive.com for all the latest coverage. Greenbrier High School is an official partner school of the NFHS. That's the National Federation of State High School Associations, who are the educational body of most high school athletics in the nation and in the state of Tennessee. Greenbrier is a proud member of both the NFHS and the TSSAA. That's the Tennessee Secondary Schools Athletic Association, which is the governing body of prep athletics in the state of Tennessee. As a result, sometimes our broadcast may not be available in both a video and audio presentation. Please be mindful that when you see something on social media that is promoting such, Greenbrier football is not available in any live streaming video capacity. If you see it, it must come from us. The broadcast is Briar built and brought to you in part by the Greenbrier Athletic Club, for over 50 years has supported Greenbrier football and its junior pro football programs. For more information on the Greenbrier Athletic Club or for more information on how you can get involved, be sure to check them out on Facebook. And as for us, we are the voice of the Bobcats. We're like you. We're friends, we're family, and most importantly, we're fans of the Cats. I am Jim Sorrells, and I, alongside Kevin Criswell, we independently produce and present all the content you see and hear on our various social media outlets. Because this is an independently produced broadcast, the thoughts and opinions of the hosts do not reflect that of Greenbrier Athletic Club, Greenbrier Schools, Robertson County Schools, or any other entity that may be assumed. This broadcast is provided to you free of charge via VOTClive.com and has no monetary gain coming from it. All incidental music overheard is property of their respective artists, and at no point is any infringement of copyright intended. This broadcast is directed and produced by Jim Sorrells and Kevin Criswell. The support staff of Greenbrier Athletic Club is the President, Kevin Criswell, Vice President, Jim Sorrells, Secretary, Mike Parker. Your Junior Pro Football Commissioners are Rory Osborne and Andy Zahn. Your Junior Pro Cheer Commissioners are Emily Moses and Courtney Capps. The Greenbrier Athletic Club also has a dedicated staff of men and women committed to sportsmanship and development of our athletes. Operating the scoreboard for home contests will be Luke Young and Thomas Young, who together have served Greenbrier football for decades and hopefully decades to come. None of this you are seeing or hearing tonight was possible without their sacrifice and dedication to our community. We thank you for our support, and we will see you in the Briar.
All right, let's take a look at the polls this week. Polling this week, the Main Street Preps Top 5. Remember, this is just Middle Tennessee. Goes unchanged with number 1 overall, Lipscomb Academy. Number 2, Pearl Cone. Number 3, Brentwood. Number 4, CPA. Number 5, Brentwood Academy. The Tennesseans Super 25 looks at all the schools across the state, regardless of class. It looks like this as follows. Number 1 overall, McCallie. Number 2, Baylor. Number 3, Lipscomb Academy. Number 4, Oakland. Number 5, Alcoa. And an honorable mention, number 6, Pearl Cone, who was the the number one in the larger class rankings this week. They kept the explosiveness going in a rout of Creekwood last week. Looking at the small classifications, our boys to the east of Robertson County keep on rolling as well. East Robertson now 3-0 and no signs of slowing behind the tandem of Isaiah and Elijah Groves. Last week, Isaiah rushed for 201 yards and a touchdown in a 20-7 win over Monterey. Elijah, now a Kentucky commit, totaled 130 all-purpose yards and a touchdown, plus an interception on defense. They are on the road tonight at Sycamore. Across the AP, 6A remains real strong with Bradley Central leapfrogging Oakland. They now sit at 1 and 2 respectively. Brentwood, Germantown, Maryville round out their top 5. In 5A, relatively unchanged across the top as well, with Knoxville West coming in at number 1 with 18 first-place votes. Henry County, Nolensville, Munford, and Centennial rounding out their top 5. Notable at the bottom, Springfield falls out of the top 10 after their loss to Henry County last week. In Class 3A, Alcoa takes top honors again. East Nashville, Dyersburg, Meigs County, and Gatlinburg-Pittman to round out their top 5. Note of interest is White House Heritage is finally getting some love with a handful of votes this week. Watch them as they are close to cracking in. Class 2A has Riverside taking the top spot and unchanged through the top 4 with Milan, East Robertson, that's our boys, and York. Marion County makes their debut, moving up from number 6. East Robertson notably received 2 first-place votes. Class 1A has South Pitt at the top, followed by Dresden with 5 first-place votes. Exciting times for a coworker of mine as he lays claim to that alma mater. Coalfield, McKenzie, and Moore County rounding out their top 5 in 1A. Division 2. These schools, of course, everyone is at the top until they beat up on each other later this year. The likes of Franklin Road, Friendship Christian, and McAllee will take their top honors this week. And for us in Class 4A, Tyler, formerly with Main Street Preps, now the Tennessean, wants you to know that the AP finally got it right, with Pearl Cone as the correct choice for the Class 4A number 1. The Firebirds now at 3-0 have had one of the best starts in the state with wins over Montgomery Bell Academy and Christ Presbyterian Academy. In 17 seasons under Coach Tony Brunetti, it's the first time the Firebirds have won 2 non-region games against private school powers in the same year. Otherwise, here's your top 10 in Class 4A. Number 1 overall, Pearl Cone, 11 first-place votes. Number 2, Greenville with 6 first-place votes. Number 3, Elizabethton, 1 first-place vote. Number 4, Upperman the Bees, 1 first-place vote. Number 5, Hardin County. Number 6, Stone Memorial. Number 7, Haywood County. Number 8, Red Bank. Number 9, making their debut this week, Crockett County. And rounding out your top 10 is Macon County. Looking at those teams, we have a lot of teams that are in the same region. Pearl Cone representing us in Region 5. You got a couple from Region 1 with Elizabethton and Greenville. Region 4's got Upperman, Stone Memorial, and Macon County. Hardin County from Region 6, Haywood County in Region 7, and Crockett County in Region 7 too. 3 teams in Region 4. Note that. 2 in Region 7 and 1, and the other 5 are sole representatives. But looking just below them, you've got teams knocking on the door. You got Loudon. They're in Region 3. Marshall County, sound familiar? Obion, White County, Gibbs, Anderson County, Lexington, Creekwood, White House, Carter, all receiving votes. 6 across this bottom group from Region 5. It is going to be a fun close to this season. Larger news across the mid-state is again focusing on Lipscomb Academy this week, who has found themselves in a pickle, balancing their national powerhouse schedule with those that are more important at a state level. They are now in need of a new signal caller as their 4-star quarterback Deuce Knight has left the team after just 3 games. He made headlines as Tennessee high school football's most impactful transfer this summer when he joined Lipscomb a little more than 2 weeks prior to the season. But after starting 3 games, he's no longer on the roster or enrolled at the school. He informed Lipscomb Academy's first-year coach Kevin Mawai within the last 24 hours that he's leaving the program. Mawai told the Tennessean on Tuesday that he played at George County last year before joining Lipscomb in August. It was a family deal for him. He did everything we wanted him to do here. It had nothing to do with football. It had everything to do with him wanting to be with his family. Knight was the number 70 player and number 5 quarterback nationally with an offer list that includes Bama, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Tennessee, amongst others. I think he's going to be okay just fine as he rides out his senior year. Other news across the state, Livingston Academy will be playing 2 games in 2 days this weekend, starting with a region matchup today in Region 4 with Upperman, followed by a Saturday morning jaunt to Jenkins, Kentucky with a 4:30 p.m. kick. Ultimately, that story has turned from a focus on scheduling to more of risk, with playing 8 quarters at a minimum 24-hour period. Livingston administration has made it clear to the Tennessean that it would be a JV game. It's going to be considered a varsity game, but it's officially a JV game. Varsity will dress, they will go on the trip, they will get a series or 2. They have to keep an eye on those minutes restrictions because Friday's game with Upperman, if it goes into extra innings, might affect this one greatly. Livingston has found themselves in this spot in a previous mentioned contest that we talked about last week against Rice Creek. As it turns out, the final that was reported with just the last tally on the board. After storms in the area caused a power outage, the teams elected not to complete the contest, forcing the Wildcats to find another opponent to pad the schedule. After not able to come to terms on a reschedule, Livingston found an opponent that operates mostly independently from the Kentucky High Schools Athletic Association. The school recently had folded up the program as most recent as 2019. They're a small independent school in the far southeastern corner of Kentucky near the Virginia border, so it'll be a big trip, a big long trip for Livingston Saturday morning. Finally, a handful of metro schools debuted their new turf tonight. We're going to get to see that next year with a couple of road trips to Pearl and Whites Creek. Some games of note from across the state. Cheatham County's at White House Heritage, Gallatin's at Dixon County, Portland's at Beach, East Robertson, we talked about them, they're at Sycamore tonight. Gordonsville is at Joe Burns, Liberty Creek at Stratford, Clarksville Northeast at Kirkwood. On a larger scale, two big games lined up in Region 4 of Class 4A with Stone Memorial at White County, Smith County at Macon County. We'll see some shakeups in that top 10 because of that one. Finally, Lipscomb Academy at Baylor and Wilson Central at Green Hill are your two bigger games on tap in the mid-state. Region-wise, Pearl is hosting Pure Academy tonight. They're an independent school based out of Memphis. They are winless this year in only their fourth season of varsity football, but they're not afraid of the competition as they have stood up to some of the heaviest hitters in the state as they continue to build their program. We've got Marshall County here with us here tonight. White House is hosting Whites Creek. Creekwood is at Montgomery Central. Station Camp is just down the road at Springfield. They're on MyTV 30 as well, so be sure to check out that score as we aim those antennas because they will be next week's opponent in the Bison of Station Camp. Folks, that'll do it for this week's polls. Be sure to stick around for more Greenbrier football